Hola, estudiantes. So yesterday we talked about a phrase ir plus a plus infinitive. And that is a construction that we can use to talk about future activities. I am going to do something. You are going to do something. We are going to do something, etc. We're going to use another construction. That's what I want to call them when we have a specific format where it's this plus this to say a certain phrase, right? So the phrase that we're going to use for this lesson is tener plus que plus infinitive. It's similar to ir a infinitive. But tener que plus infinitive, we studied it a little bit already, so you might remember. It means to have to do something. So, for example, if you want to say something like, I have to sing, you have to draw, we have to ride bikes. Those require the tener plus que plus infinitive construction. So let's talk about how to use that construction. The first part is tener, which you will conjugate according to the subject. So if I have to do something, I would use tengo, que, and then infinitive. If I want to say you have to do something, informal, I would say tienes que, and then the action verb. So here's the construction, tener que infinitive. Remember, an infinitive is the verb left in its original form, so it ends in er, ir, or ar. Unconjugated verb. Okay? Well, we start out with tener. We're not going to use tener in the infinitive, though. Tener, we do have to conjugate. So we've got several forms, which we have learned already, but they are irregular, so you have to study them extra hard. So we have yo tengo, tú tienes, él, ella, or usted tiene. I'll show you my board in a second so you can take notes. Tiene. Nosotros tenemos. I keep writing ugly. Nosotros tenemos, we have. Remember, tener means to have, which makes sense because now we're saying to have to do something. And ellos, ellas, ustedes tienen. Okay. You can pause it if you need to right now, take notes. So these are the forms. Yo tengo, tú tienes, él tiene, ella tiene, usted tiene, nosotros tenemos, ellos tienen, ellas tienen, ustedes tienen. So to use this construction, the first thing we do is conjugate tener into the appropriate form. So if you want to say I have to sing, we will say tengo, and then we use que. We don't have to change that, it's always que. And then the infinitive for the verb to sing, which is cantar. I have to sing, tengo que cantar, or yo tengo que cantar. Let's say you have to draw. We can say tú if we want, or we can omit that. Tienes que, and then the infinitive verb for to draw is dibujar. So, tienes que dibujar. Really important to conjugate this verb correctly. Tener has to be conjugated according to the subject of the sentence. Who is the one doing the action? Let's say Paul, we would say in Spanish. Paul has to cook. Paul tiene que cocinar. Okay. I use the conjugation tiene, which is the same as él, because I could say Paul has to cook or I can say he has to cook. But the conjugation is the same whether I use his actual name or I use a pronoun to replace it, él. Okay, so Paul tiene que cocinar, Paul has to cook. Let's say we have to go to the school. Nosotros, optional, we can say nosotros or we can omit that. Tenemos que ir, that's the infinitive, we have to go, and then I'm going to say to the school, a la escuela. Tenemos que ir a la escuela. Let's do one more. Let's say they, and let's say we have just two girls, so we'll use ellas. Ellas, they have to go to the bank. Ellas tienen que ir al banco. Remember, when you have a and el side by side, you combine them into a contraction, which is the word al. So since banco is a masculine, we're going to have to do al. We talked about that in an earlier lesson. Ellas tienen que ir al banco. Okay? So these are the sentences that we will be working with. This is the construction for today's lesson. Tener plus que plus infinitive. Like always, let me know if you're having trouble with this. We can work on it together. And I will have some other resources in the lesson below for you to practice and to study before you do the assignment at the bottom. Okay? Gracias. Ciao.